and the saga for finding the perfect framing of my fireplace and me continues. Hi guys, welcome to Bookmas Day 9. As you all know, I have finished my first, well, maybe you all don't know, I have finished reading a book this month. We love. And I am bound and determined to find my next read. Now listen, it's not my second book because I've started another book already, but that was like predetermined that I would start that book because it was an anthology. Not the anthology where I'm going to be drinking a certain beverage because it's based on the title. That's a different one. Okay, and that video, I am now just gonna call it, it's gonna be next year that you guys see it, but it's still gonna be like wintry vibes, which January is still winter. So yeah, we're gonna keep the wintry vibes going into the new year. So that'll be in the new year, but I am gonna be reading it this month. Essentially, I am looking for another read to start alongside the anthology, you know, so I can have a little 2 books at a time situation going on, which is something I haven't done in a hot minute. So I have with me right now 3 contenders for my next read. We have A Wreath of Snow by Liz Curtis Higgs, The Christ Kindle's Gift by Kathleen Morgan, Jane and the 12 Days of Christmas. Yes, I have already read the first chapters, and I am here to talk to you guys about the first chapters and determine once and for all what is my next read. And I already know what is going to be my next read, but maybe talking about them will change my mind, but highly doubt it because they're all very, very good. This was so hard. They were all so good, but let me get into it and we'll just talk about it. Okay, A Wreath of Snow is first by Liz Curtis Higgs, and all of the books, by the way, have a little note cheat sheet so I can remember kind of what happened, but I do remember what happens in this book. So in this story so far, we're following our main character, Meg Campbell, as she is walking to the train station. Now, many would think, you know, walking on your way to the train station over the holidays, you're going to visit your family. She is leaving her family, and we're starting to get a picture of why. So as she is walking to the train station, she runs into an old teacher, and he is just kind of rude, blows her off a little bit, like acknowledges her for a slight second and then moves on. And reason being, she is a teacher herself and she left her family. She lives in another location by herself, is a teacher, not married. And this is like a culture of, you know, past mindset of like at a certain age, a woman needs to be married, have children, you know, start the family. The husband is the breadwinner and sole provider. So that's kind of the vibes that this town is giving. But Meg Campbell doesn't share these views, and she has been mocked before about it, been called a disappointment, been just verbally beaten down for her ambitions, but she still has not allowed that to stop her from getting to where she wants to go. So, you know, modern day female empowered woman, let's go. She is remembering the situation that got her here, which is that her brother is mad and jealous because she had inherited a property basically from her great aunt in her old age, and she was the only one in the family that went to take care of her. And so in the will, her aunt left the property to her, and the brother is mad about this. Like, the mom and dad are straight chilling about it, it seems like, right? I don't know what their feelings are about it. It doesn't look like Meg even knows their feelings about it, but the brother is very much jealous about it. He wants the money. He's injured, by the way. He had an injury as a child because some man decided to fling a large piece of metal and it hit him. There's like more context behind the story, I'm sure, but the basic premise was that he got hit by a large metal object in air and it hit him, and now he has sustained injuries because of it, lifelong injuries that need to be tended to, and now he has made it a problem for everyone, including his parents. And he is very vocal about being mad and angry at the world, and he seems to be taking it out on his sister, Meg, who, you know, is doing something with her life, who helped a family member when they needed helping because she was the only one that basically could, that was nearby, and got rewarded because of it. And he's just mad and angry at life, and he wants everything for himself. He already, seemingly, at least for me, he already seemed to have that attitude, but then it was made worse by his injury, and now he feels justified in it, and now everyone is justifying it for him, and already, like, they are looking at Meg as kind of like this disappointment and things like that. And so that's like the cherry on top of a very disgusting dessert, okay? And he says some things that are hurtful to her in front of everyone. Her parents don't defend her, and she just can't take it. She doesn't want to just sit there and take it. So she decides, you know what? I'm not gonna take this. I'm gonna go. And so she is on her way to the train station to go back home, and she really just, in her mind, she still very much just doesn't want her mom to think that, you know, she's leaving because of her or her father even. Like, she's mad at the brother, but she doesn't want it to ruin her relationship with her parents, who are the ones taking care of him. And so she's thinking about all of these things. And who does she bump into because she's not paying attention? The town gossip. Yeah. She's there to pick up her son, and she just so happens to make a flyaway comment of like, oh, I'm here because my son's coming in, like any good child should do. I'm like, ma'am, no, you don't. You don't have to. It's not an obligation. You do it because you want to and because you love your family. She came into town knowing she was going to have a time with her brother, knowing she was going to have a time with people making judgments on her and her life decisions, and quite possibly, I don't know what involvement the parents have with like the whole disappointment thing, but if she feels like she's a disappointment, I can guarantee there are some things going on at home that, you know, one or both of the parents have just kind of said some things that maybe have indicated they wished a different way, to put it nicely, for their daughter. So being around that, like, you know, you can be around that and you can, I guess, in the way of the eyes of this character, I guess, yes, you can suck it up for a little bit, but also if it is a very like bad environment to be in, you don't have to at the same time. It's not an obligation. It's out of whatever you feel in your heart to give in that moment. It's like, it's hard because, you know, there are circumstances, I do believe, where, you know, you don't have to put yourself in the presence of certain things and certain environments and certain people. You don't have to. You are not obligated to. In fact, some would say it would be wise to not instigate whatever. Is that my hair? Or is that the crack in the screen? That's my hair. Sorry, I've just been noticing like a little flyaway hair has been bugging me. Okay, if it's been bugging you too, I think I fixed it. Alrighty. So, I don't think you're obligated to. Like, it's out of the kindness of your heart that you're going, but you're not obligated to by any stretch of the imagination. And like, sometimes you can't. There are physical illnesses, there are work obligations, there are other family members that you've already said yes to. Like, there's so many different reasons why people may not go home for the holidays. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Maybe it's because it's the holidays and I have, you know, split family, and so I know the differences of like different obligations of feeling like, oh, I want to go see this family member, I want to do this fun Christmas thing, I want to hang out with this person, but like, you have to choose one or the other for various and sundry reasons, and sometimes you can't even choose various and sundry reasons because, hey, work obligation, adulting, we love that. Anywho, tangent over. But basically, she's like, she makes that comment. You saw where that got me. And so it's getting to her a little bit, and she's like, like, okay, and walks over to one of the warmer booths that are selling books and some nice warm beverages, and there's a treat stand right there, and she's thinking about getting a treat, but right now her mood is a little sour. She just wants to basically lick her wounds in private for a little minute and then be ready to face the world with a smile that everyone should have around this time of year, basically, is what she's saying to herself. And not how I think, just to make that clear, you don't have to put a smile on for the season. That's basically kind of the scene that we're left with. Overall, first chapter impressions of A Wreath of Snow, I enjoy it. The next book that we have, The Chris Kindle's Gift by Kathleen Morgan. So the scene is set for 10-year-old Eric asleep in bed, being woken up by his 7-year-old little sister who is chewing on her hair, and this is going to be important in a second, hold on for a minute, who's chewing on her hair and saying, hey, I have an idea, I have an idea, I have an idea, it's almost Christmas, I have an idea. And he's just like, what is this idea? Why couldn't it wait a few more hours? Because it was really early in the morning. And she was like, well, I just got this really good idea. What if we wrote St. Nick a letter to give to the Christ child so that we can have whatever it is that we put on that letter? And he's like, this better be the idea of all ideas. And she's just like, what if we ask him for a new father? So we read a little further on in the story and we come to realize that the father has died a few years back after bringing his entire family over to America, and he leaving behind his wife and 2 children. And his wife firmly believes that America will forever and always be a land of strangers to her. She wants to go back to her home country. The grandfather who lives there now, near them, is saying, so you're just gonna spoil whatever his life's work was, your husband's life's work was, to bring you guys over there to the land of opportunity. Just give it some time, give it a try, give it a chance. And with those words, she stays, and her 2 children have suffered greatly because of the loss of their father, and the loss happened because one night he decided to just open his home out of the kindness of his heart to 2 people who he thought needed help, and they robbed him. And apparently it doesn't give us the details of how it ended, but we know how it ended, with his bloodied body in the arms of his wife. So ever since then, the children have been traumatized by this event. The youngest child, Rosa, has reverted back to old habits. Childish habits is what they call it, but like sucking on the hair. And that's a big one. And that's one that she does during school, and apparently she gets made fun of for it. The older brother is very solemn, definitely wiser for his age, and he has seen his mom cry about the death of his father, and he doesn't want to see those tears anymore, but he doesn't know how to make it better. And so he thinks, maybe Rosa has a point. Now, to what they believe Christmas is, so their version, if I remember this accurately, is that Saint Nicholas still comes and gives people presents, but it is more so, have you been naughty or nice, that determine what type of presents you get. And then actually writing a letter to him would be for the Christ child, who would give it to the children through Saint Nick. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. And whatever is written on the letter as well. That is early morning. It's now later in the morning. The mom is making breakfast. Eric is at the table, sitting, doing whatever he's doing, probably studying. Rosa is staring outside at the window, and it is freezing out. So, you know, her face is a little chilly against the glass door. The mother reminds her, hey, be careful around the window. And then she kind of goes into this state of reminiscing, which is how we find out about the father and what happened to him, about the dynamic with the grandfather, about, you know, her decision to stay and to make a better life for her children, Rosa and Eric, who are still young and in like elementary school years. And she gets so lost in thought that Eric kind of pulls her out, and then Rosa starts talking to hopefully make her smile and mentions writing a letter to Saint Nick. And the mom is confused because she's like, even when we were back in our home country, they didn't write a letter. So what is going on here? And immediately, just like the faces of nervous children who have been caught out, they're just like, oh no, eyes wide, faces pale, slack jawed, like, we need to save them. And the mom is like, you know what? They've never done this before, but they seem to really like the idea of whatever it is that they have come up with. So I am just going to allow them to do whatever, have their little secret for now. That's kind of where that chapter ends. And yes, this is definitely heavier. I mean, granted, both are heavy. I don't have much to say or I might go into tears. Last and final book is Jane Austen and the 12 Days of Christmas. Oh, and this is by Stephanie Barron. So in our first chapter, we were following along Jane Austen as she was riding in a carriage with multiple different people. Well, with her company, of course, with her friend, and then some of her family members, her mother, and I believe it was a cousin, and then two older gentlemen, shall we say. And they were all sharing a carriage at one point, and they are going on this journey to get to the brother's, I believe, house party. And the brother arranged for transportation to meet them where the stagecoach that they were in dropped them off. So the stagecoach dropped off everybody. The two older gentlemen got out, they got out, and they realized that the brother's mode of transportation was his usual, a donkey and a cart. A lot of expenses were spared in this journey, aka, you know, it's winter and many hours, so the sun goes down and many hours. There needs to be like a lantern lit and everything. Yeah, apparently there was no lantern to be lit because that was not a part of the package deal that the brother had apparently paid for. So they are in the dark, the wind is picking up, and there's another carriage driving towards them. Okay, they don't have any light, so this carriage doesn't know that people are there. Winter, kind of stormy, dark out. Need I say more? Probably not, because all of a sudden, now no one gets hurt in this. I mean, Jane does go flying a little bit in the cart, but there's not too much in way of damage. Actually, let me not say that too quickly. There was not much in the way of damage to the cart or to the people. Actually, to the people there was none. To the animal, there was a ton. So the man that they happen to bump into is named Mr. West, and he allows these ladies to jump into his carriage and have his man drive them to wherever they need to go and then come back and pick him up because he is on the way to a party and he is only a short hour away, you know, no biggie. And they're a couple of hours away from their place. Again, you know, no biggie. Man, do I love cars. And so that is kind of where we leave off, although I must mention that Mr. West does kind of have his eye on Jane a little bit, but you know, she doesn't think too much of it, you know, as some of us girls do who think that it must be really hard for a guy to find us attractive. I mean, look at my hot friend over there, like she working it. Why are you looking at me? Me every single day of my life. But yeah, so and if you think I'm kidding, now listen, there are moments when I know I am rocking something, okay? But that don't mean I think that I'm the hottest chick out there. I have never thought I am the hottest chick out there. Hot, sexy, and other like words I don't normally say about myself. Now about other people, shoo. Oh, not the S word, the H word. Those words. As like hot I say about other people. The other word, the word that shall not be mentioned. I don't, way off topic, my goodness. Okay, focus, Maya. I have not read, this is gonna sound so bad, I have not read anything Jane Austen, okay? I have not, I haven't. The wording and the language has kind of gone over my head. Well, not gone over my head, but it's really hard to read that stuff because you actually have to like have your brain there. Not to say that you don't have your brain there while reading, but you know how like there are just some words and phrases that you can just like quickly read through and it works itself out in your brain later on. But there are some things where you just are like, is this actually English? When you're reading something. And like, this is proper English, mind you. So, you know, of course I need to like hone in and zero in on it. Let's get into my official next read. Drum roll, please. The Christkindl's Gifts by Kathleen Morgan. Now, this was a hard choice. It was. Because these two books were the top contenders. Now, don't get me wrong. This book right here, very interesting, very intriguing, very demure, very mindful. No, let me stop that. I don't want to ever say that again. I am so sorry. But these two, they just had the element of realness that I am looking for. Now, I think maybe I'm more into this one because this one hits way too close to home. This one is my safer bet, if you can believe it. Anywho, this is the winner. This is the one that we're gonna read next. I am so very excited. We've already finished chapter 1. I'm already hooked. Can I just like predict a 4-star and above reading experience? So we'll see what it actually comes to in the new year, but I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me, for helping me choose my next read, and thank you so much for being the best bookish bestie that ever was, is, or ever will be, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye!